there are several things that make up the safety in healthcare, whether it be in hospital or pre-hospital, regarding violence. There are several sections and each are important. However, there's one that is the most important, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But there are personal issues, there are administrative issues, we have environmental issues, and then we have what I'm going to call the system. And the way it breaks down is this. So the personal would be you, the individual, me, the individual. What do I do regarding a violent encounter on the job? And then administrative. Is there things that administration can do to help mitigate violent encounters on the job? And then environmental. Are there things that we can do in our surroundings that make a difference when it comes to the violent encounter on the job in healthcare? And lastly is the system. So give me a few moments of your time and I hopefully can share something with you you may not have looked at. So first of all, personal. The healthcare provider is unique when it comes to training for any type of use of force situation on the job. We have to understand that there are specifics that we're going to go through when it comes to the mind, the street, the media, and the court. So what I mean by that, things like mental preparation. When can I defend myself? What is a patient? What isn't a patient? What is reasonable within the use of force? Should I defend myself? What technique would I use? All these things have to do with, the mindset. And then the next piece, we usually just call the street, which would actually be the scene or the situation, which has to do with the actual moment in time right there. What skills specifically have I practiced to do, right now? So it's the skills or the tactics and techniques that kind of work together. The next is the media. Obviously, we live in the information age, so everything that we do needs to help us win in this battle of the media, meaning we want to make sure that we're appearing to be defensive at all times, that we weren't the aggressor, we're using great customer service and things like that. And the last part is the courts. So you've got the court of public opinion, and then you have the real courts. That's, and we've all seen in recent years how the court of public opinion and the media, the way that we're perceived in the media, whether it be social media or mainstream media, can drive so many other factors. Well, so that has to do with the person. That means the person is ultimately responsible for actions within any given moment in time. The next piece, let's talk about administrative. What can administrators do? Well, first of all, policy. Have policies in place that let staff know that they're supported, that it is not for the nurse, the EMT, the firefighter that's on the EMS scene or the paramedic to be attacked, criminally that is, and it to be accepted or forced on as part of the job. So there's policies ahead of time that say, we support you. Another thing would be policy after the fact. That means if we have specific things that we will do should you have A, defended yourself, or B, been attacked by surprise, we have to have policies in place that help the staff understand, how this is going to go, when it's all said and done, because it is such an unknown when human conflict is so dynamic. So the administration needs to let the people feel supported. This is huge. Now, environmental. A lot of money gets spent on the environmental side without really some thoughts that go into, these other two pieces. So environmental, how about a panic button or panic rooms? Well, I need you to understand, if you go and watch a few of the videos on our website, that there can be an awful long time between the moment you press that panic button until someone arrives. Over the years in EMS, we've seen it, we've heard it, where providers in the pre-hospital arena will hit that magic panic button on their radio, and it can be a long time before someone gets there. However, things like panic buttons, signage. What does signage have to do with anything? No sign has ever stopped a criminal, right? You don't speed because you see the speed limit sign because you want to not speed. There's a lot of things that go into the idea of signage, meaning if there's a sign posted saying, look, our staff are not going to be criminally assaulted by you, and they're just going to accept it. We are going to call the police. We're going to press charges. We're going to, we stand by our staff and the other true patients that are within this facility. So signage doesn't stop that person who's high or drunk from attacking healthcare. What it does do is put that in the mind of the healthcare provider. The administration says it is okay if you defend yourself from a criminal assault. Things like door security or security. Please don't let what I'm about to say offend anyone in security. In an emergency arena, and in a lot of places, to call an unarmed person security is really kind of a play on words. What we have found in most places, what happens is the people that they have working security in a hospital are unarmed, low, if any, training, and most of the time they're expected to go around and check doors. And there's this unofficial compulsion that there's kind of like an unofficial policy that says, hey, look, if the nurses go hands-on with someone and are trying to restrain a combative patient, you're expected to kind of get in there and help. However, when you go back to that security guard's his job description, it says they're observe and report. So please don't mistake what I'm trying to say here, which is having security that is armed security, that is trained security, is really what is needed in a hospital. You can have those others as support, but when you do things like have maintenance staff double as security, it's not fair to anyone involved. It's just not fair. So panic buttons, signage, door security, having real, true armed security, these are all things that would fall under environmental. And then the last piece that I want to share over here would be the system. When we talk about having the system, this is the stuff that goes on after the fact more often than not. So what we have right now, we see people run around going, we need more laws, we want more laws. Well, many states, and I'll just use Missouri as one. So in 2005 was the first time I ever became aware of it. I don't believe it existed prior to that. I know that when I started teaching Eve in 1997, it wasn't on the books yet. But now, thanks to the hard work of like the ENA and things like that, so many states have now added healthcare providers on the exact same law as attacking a police officer. Well, why is that important? Well, there's been a breakdown in the system. What happens is that, let's say we get all of these things working. So you've got the provider doing the right thing. You've got administration saying, look, if you've been criminally assaulted, we want you to report that to the police. We've got signs saying that we're going to report it to the police. We've got real security that are trained, that turn around and everybody writes the report, but then it gets over to law enforcement, and because of what we've done in our culture, and again, you can watch a few of the videos back and see what we mean by that, how we're responsible for this. But what I would like to say is that, so when they finally do the report, either a police officer acts like, we don't want to take it, or it's part of your job, or the police officer does do the right thing, and it gets up to the prosecuting attorney moving forward, or your state's attorney, district attorney, whatever it is that you have in your area. And for whatever reason, that person then says, well, nothing's going to happen, so they move it to the side. Then, what if it goes through all those, but then it gets to the judge, and the judge is going, well, it's not that big of a deal. Guys, I will tell you that the reason that this is happening the way that it is, with news agencies reaching out to me going, my gosh, Mr. Teitsort, why do you think there is such a huge growth in violence in healthcare? I say there's not. There isn't this huge meteoric rise. What we do witness is that some of these things are starting to take place and people are actually reporting it. So the media is now getting involved going, holy cow. Well, if you look at it, you really need to have all of these things to give our people the best chance. And that's not only our staff, but it's protecting real patients and it's protecting the agency as a whole as well as the end user. However, check this out. If you notice, most of these things are ineffective without the individual, that end user, the person in the beginning. Because look, You can have all the policies that you want, and you can have a policy say, you know what, it's okay if you defend yourself on the job, but you've never told the person how to defend themselves, or they've heard about what happens with unofficial policy, or what the culture says about how to use force, the punitive use of medicine. I mean, all these things that come out there. So again, administrative policies, hey, that's wonderful, but if the person didn't know how to protect themselves mentally, protect themselves on the street and within the media and the courts, then none of this stuff mattered. Moving on now to the environmental stuff. Again, it is a long time between the time you push that button till the time you radio for help, any of that stuff, before someone gets there. So we need to give our people something. And again, having a sign that says, hey, our people are going to press charges if you assault them. Well, you know what? Really study assault and or battery in your places, and realize that there are different levels of not only the type of assault, but what I'm allowed to do in prevention of that assault. Then you look at like the doors, or the security. Again, let's say you've got great video cameras, which is a piece that I didn't have up there, but security cameras. Okay, that's great. No different than the laws that penalty is not protection. It proves there's a problem. So if a guy beats the crap out of a nurse in the ED, or attacks a paramedic on a scene, and you've got the video showing that they did so, but now the paramedic or that nurse is changed forever from the criminal assault, what good was it you had the camera? What good was it you had security? So see, they have to go together in concert, like this, like a confluence of flowing together that really makes it all better. But we have really seen this get spiraling out of control. But all this stuff, throwing the money at the cameras and the doors and signage and panic buttons, while wonderful, don't help the person in that moment in time while they're being attacked. All the laws, the reporting issues, the police, the courts, the media after the fact, none of that helps the person while it's going on. So what we have to do is create an entire system. There are companies out there, and I want to say that it was called S.A.V.E, I want to believe is the name of it, but stood for like crime prevention through environmental design. So by the way the sidewalks are, and the lighting or bushes and stuff like that, how you can funnel people into certain ways naturally. Now again, I'm not going to ask you to go and repave your sidewalks. What I am saying is if you've got lockable doors, lock them. If you've got the ability to have cameras, by all means have them. But it all still goes back to, you have to have something for that person to do within the first few moments. Go and look at the compilation videos of not only the EMS attacks, but the attacks that have occurred in hospital, and just take the time and count for yourself the amount of time that the attack happens until somebody gets there or that attack is over. I mean, it is absolutely unbelievable. No different than Jessica being stabbed 105 times before the suspect who was stabbing her was shot and killed. Could you imagine be performing triage and be stabbed 105 times before it stopped? Now she's alive. Thank the Lord for that. But my point is, we need to give our people something here. So that is mission specific, because just to kill a man in 3 moves, hey, while wonderful, it may work, it sure as heck isn't going to protect the agency or the person over here. So when you begin to research something for your agency to prevent the risk, or to at least mitigate the risk that is the violent encounter or the use of force on the job in healthcare, make sure that you're looking at all of these different things. Because again, you're not going to eat the elephant in one setting. But by God, the quickest, most efficient thing to do is to start with training the staff and to put policies as you begin to, put these administrative places or administrative things in place. At the same time, admin is speaking to the admin of law enforcement, and then you've got meetings set up with your prosecutors or district attorneys, and start letting them really see that, again, the laws are already on the books in most places. The point is, we're just not using them. A lot of times it's because our people haven't been taught how to document it properly to law enforcement and things like that. So I hope this makes sense to you, that no one thing, and I mean, I'm the founder of DT for EMS, but I'm going to tell you that even it alone is not everything. But start looking at the big picture, folks. Violence is the leading cause of lost work time in all of healthcare, and you can't get people to do, well, we'll get our people some panic buttons, or, well, we're adding some security cameras. Okay, that's great, but what about all the other stuff? So see, it's a rabbit hole, it's an onion, however you want to label it. It is a very deep subject, and as usual, I'm just trying to help share some things for you to look at and understand the truth. So with that, I thank you as always for taking the time to let me share my message of culture change with you. If you believe in what we're doing, please tell others that we exist. And the website is dt4ems.com. We're all about saving yours while you save others.